Hey guys, so I got a great question that came to me through an email today. And the question was, all the talk about the littles and all the talk about triggering, what happens when you feel like you simply cannot get past being triggered about something? Well, if we're feeling like we cannot get past being triggered, we need to call bullshit on ourselves. Yes, we have trauma that happens in our lives. We have things that happen, and sometimes that stuff is monumental, and sometimes we simply have a difficult time shifting past it. If you're trying to do this alone, I would suggest that you reach out for help if you find that you've been in it for a while, because what will happen is it will become your new normal. And when your new normal becomes based on fear or based out of fear, based out of triggering, based out of grief, based out of limited beliefs that you can't move forward, we have to be willing to call bullshit on ourselves. I've been there myself, man. I've had to call bullshit a time or two on myself. Actually, way more than a time or two. There's a beauty that comes from that, though, because when we are not attached to judgment, when we're not attached to the shame of it, when we choose not to be attached to the limiting belief of it, and rather embrace the fact that when we actually call bullshit on ourselves, we're not really kicking ourselves when we're down. We're inviting opportunities to grow. We're inviting opportunity to see things from a slightly different perspective, to embrace things from a different viewpoint. And sometimes, does that mean that we're going to run into people who are going to trigger us? Sure. We can either be reactive and allow our 2, 4, 5, 8, 12, 18-year-old, 24-year-old little to jump in the driver's seat and plow over those folks verbally, emotionally, mentally, or with anger. Or we can step back, take a 3-second rule to step from 3 seconds to step out of compulsiveness and into consciousness, ground ourselves, and proceed forward. Now, there is nothing that we cannot shift from. It really is a matter of perspective. Now, sometimes shifting out of a deep pocket of grief, there's a fear that if we shift out of that pocket of grief, if it's pertaining to a loved one, that they'll be forgotten, or that we somehow are saying that they don't matter. And that's absolutely not true. When we shift out of that pocket of stagnant grief, we actually afford more happy memories. We afford laughter and love and joy to come back into our life. And that's not just from an external perspective, that's actually from an internal as well. Not only do we cultivate and we invite, we're able to tap into the happy memories, the joy, the little things that resonate and make us giggle from within. Is the sadness still going to be there? Yeah, it is, because there's a void there. But the sadness coupled with the happiness, the joy, they find actually a companionship that will allow us to walk through life with grief as a traveling buddy who doesn't get to steal center stage. Now, on the other hand, if it has been a trauma or an experience that does not include a physical death of someone, but yet a physical death of a part of us, that is the same thing. Choosing to work through our grief, choosing to acknowledge our loss, choosing to heal. And healing does not mean that we forget those things that have happened. It means that we choose to take back center stage of our life. We choose to take back the power point. We choose to take, or point of power. We choose to take back our now, because those things that happen cannot be undone. And as long as we replay a memory over and over and over, our dopamine, our cortisol levels in our brain, they keep dosing us up. They keep that pain alive. So I'm not saying to discredit, I'm not saying to discount. I'm saying to be aware of what that pain is doing to you emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. Together, you can find, with grief and with pain and with loss, a medium platform. You can begin to recreate a sustainable happiness and health that will afford you a future that is bright, that is happy, that is full of peace. and that will allow you to go forward with a peaceful mind, and even with your ass-kicking shoes on every once in a while. Because, hey, let's get real. Things happen in life. The other shoe, it's going to drop. It's always up there. You get to decide, is it going to hit you like a steel-toe boot, or is it going to hit you like a flip-flop? So, if you have any comments or feedback, I would love to hear from you. I remain open and honored to do this work. Until then, increase the peace and have a great day. See ya.